to another episode of TUPCast, the Untitled Podcasters podcast, where we talk about films and get heavily off topic while doing so. My name is Andrew. I am one of your hosts. Alongside me are my two other hosts in every episode, Steve.
Hello.
And Colby.
That's me.
And in today's episode, we will be talking about Dune Part 1 and Part 2. Get
More
heavily
like
off topic.
Part 1 and Part 2.
Probably butchering it. Will contain spoilers for both parts if you haven't seen either, although I'm not certain that our recount of the events is going to make it any easier for you to understand.
Nope, if anything, it'll probably just confuse you even more.
Which is what we're here for. Also, not sponsored by McDonald's or Mark Wahlberg or Blade Runner. But, you know, we might talk about those at some point.
Although, the guy who directed Dune directed Blade Runner.
Yes, he did.
Well, 2049 at least, the second one.
Yes.
So it kind of is. It kind of is.
Right.
So, so the first Dune came out like 2021 in that weird like direct to HBO like they did like those weird couple movies, like I know Godzilla versus Kong was one of them, where instead of going to theaters it was like directly on HBO on a certain day at a certain time. It was almost like a timed release. And I remember that's how I saw the first one.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know you watched it at home.
Yeah, I watched the first one at home. I saw it in theaters as well, but I watched it for the first time at home.
Interesting.
So, I saw it when it came out, and then I saw it in theaters. Then I watched it last week. So that's at least my viewing of Dune Part 1. And I know up until recently, Andrew, you hadn't seen it, right?
Yes, I watched Dune Part 1 the morning before we saw Dune Part 2.
Probably the way to do it, to be honest.
I think it helped, definitely.
Colby, you saw it in theaters?
I did. I saw the first one in theaters when it came out. I remember being super confused the first time I saw it. There was just so much happening, so many characters, so much lore.
Mm-hmm.
But I did rewatch it prior to seeing the second one, and I definitely understood it a lot more that second time.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, for anybody who didn't understand the first one and then went into the second one, I don't know that it cleared anything up too much.
Didn't, but the second one was easier to follow, I think.
It was definitely easier to follow, yeah.
Which I guess that's reassuring on my end, because like I said, I watched it the morning of. But it's a tough movie to, like, it's long, so it's hard to, like, dedicate that time to watch. So I was, like, doing laundry while I watched it. I was doing, like, other household chores, but kept it in the background.
Watching Dune 1?
Yeah.
And you still followed it?
I told Steve beforehand, because before Steve and I saw Kung Fu Panda 4, we I wasn't sure if Josh Brolin's character had died or not, because the last time I saw him, I had gotten up to put the clothes in the dryer, and then I came back and he just wasn't in the rest of the movie, so I wasn't certain if he was dead or not, because everyone else seemed to have died. Spoilers, like I said.
Dead, all of them.
Yeah,
because he didn't die they didn't show him dying on screen.
Yeah,
which we know from like TV and movies now.
Mm-hmm.
The character doesn't die. Jon Snow died on screen and he came back. So, but
I was gonna say they can still die on screen and it doesn't mean
come
anything.
back. But
you ever seen
typically,
Supernatural?
If they don't die on screen, they always show up later. So that was the case with Josh Brolin.
The two main characters on Supernatural have died like over 20 times on that show.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah,
they just come, but they're like supernatural. So
they're not supernatural beings.
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't know that they're supernatural.
No, they're hunters.
I've never seen it. So
it's a great show.
I've never seen it either. But...
It's a great show up until the last season. And it's honestly not bad up until the last episode. The last episode's terrible.
Ruins the whole show. One episode. You're like 12 years.
Isn't that how Game of Thrones was? I never watched that either, but
yeah, except Game of Thrones was fine up until the finale, I think.
I thought Game of Thrones was. There's no way to land that show perfectly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they rushed the last season.
Mm-hmm.
It's like the first couple seasons was like this slow crawl, but like still was exciting because you're like, we know where we're crawling towards and we can't wait to get there. And then the last season was like, run as fast as you can. And like that's what the whole season was. And they would like travel distances that took 3 seasons in like half an episode. And you're like, wait a minute. In earlier seasons, it took us literally a whole season to get from one end of the map to the other. And then the last season, they're like, "Oh, we have dragons now, so we just fly there."
This is the ancient usage of an airplane.
Yeah, it's like the ornithopter, bringing it back.
Yes,
nice.
We're here to talk about Dune.
Yeah, worms. So if you're a big fan of worms, you're in for a doozy. So
I will say there was one moment in Dune Part 2. I know we're not there yet, when they were talking about being in the desert, and they said something about spiders, and there was really no payoff to that.
No. Thank God.
I know. I leaned over to Colby, and I was like, I put my hand on your shoulder. I'm like, it's all right, buddy. I got you. Yeah. So for the plot of Dune 1, full disclosure, I typed into an AI thing and said, give me a brief bullet point summary of Dune Part 1. And it did, but it was too vague. So I said, can you give me a little more depth with the plot? And it didn't. I think that's what we're just going to use to go through this. So I don't know, I guess initial thoughts on Dune Part 1. We kind of already talked about how we watched it, our experience with the film. Does anyone have any thoughts on it? I know I could start just to say I enjoyed it. You know, I put off watching it a while because it didn't really grab my attention the way it did a lot of other people. And in full disclosure, I don't know if I would have watched it had we not gone to see Part 2. I'm sure eventually I would have gotten around to it, but it wasn't on my high list of things to watch. But I watched it, and I'm glad I did. I enjoyed it very much. I was pretty confused, but I can imagine that having a couple of years in between the films, that gives you something to think about too. So my questions were probably answered a lot faster than anything other people had, if they did answer questions people had.
Yeah, I would say go for it, Colby.
I was gonna say I had the same thing, like what he was explaining, where I watched it the first time and I had questions, but within that gap, there's articles you can read, YouTube videos, everybody's talking about it. And then when I rewatched it, I think that clarified most of the things I was confused about. And then anything that was like left over, I think Part 2 pretty much wrapped that up.
Yeah, I remember when the trailers got released and I was seeing them for the first time, I was like, "Oh, it looks Fellowship of the Ring to me." It was like the start of a journey.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh, this could be cool." Obviously, Timothy Chalamet and Zendaya, whatever, were like popping off right when the trailer was being released. They showed Jason Momoa, they show Oscar Isaac, they show all like the big actors that everyone was into, 2-3 years ago. Still into, obviously, but like the big
and all
actors.
those actors have done well since then too.
Oh yeah, and like Villanueva, the director, has done like a lot of good movies before. And I just remember the trailer was exciting, and an exciting trailer will get me. I knew they were based on books. I knew that like they were kind of epics, and like they were like there was like multiple books, and it could go on forever, and ultimately they could ruin it by making 100 movies of it if they wanted to. But they've kind of announced that this is just going to be a trilogy at the most.
Have they announced that?
They haven't officially announced the third
but that's
one,
like
but
the speculation.
I mean, the second one has already made like $400 million or something, which
fair enough.
I mean, it cost 200, I think, to make it. So they've doubled their money. I'm pretty sure they're gonna make a third one. Sure. And I know going into Dune Part 1, I definitely had I was really excited for it, and I had high expectations. And I went with Kate, who like doesn't do epic sci-fi, like not real world happening type of movies. Like she likes like the more of like this could happen drama kind of thing.
Grounded stuff.
Yeah, and she walked out of it like that's like one of the coolest movies I've ever seen. Just like visually, the soundtrack, the way it looked, with the actors that were in it, and like the expectation of like what's coming next, kind of like that cliffhanger without being like a brutal cliffhanger of like, oh, he's
Yeah.
gonna join the Freeman and like become super badass.
Yeah, I like the how they went about not having a cliffhanger, but just more story to tell.
Yeah, for sure. And like the first two movies, so Dune Part 1, Part 2, are based on the first book. And
Mhm.
then the third one is supposed to be based on the second book, which is called Dune Messiah. Because at the end of the movie, they were kind of calling him the Messiah.
Right.
So that's
Do you
kind of
know
why Dune 1 and Dune 2 feel like one big long movie,
It's like
because
an
of
Okay.
one book. Yeah.
Yeah. So, do you know, like, I know that there's a bunch of books.
Yeah. There's like a shit ton. I don't know how many though.
All right, so that was gonna be my next question because I know that there's
We'll go with shit ton as a exact measurement of
that's a
how
good
many books there are.
classifier.
So
I know that like the Dune series itself has, I want to say, 6 or something, but then there's like a sequel series.
There is. I just looked it up.
Okay.
It says there's 6 canonical Dune books
oh,
that are like the main books.
there's
But
always
there's,
canon issues.
it says there's a total of 23 books in the franchise. So yeah, it looks like the first 6 are canon ones, and the other 23 are left up for interpretation.
Oh god.
Yes, so my understanding of that, and I got this from listening to another podcast, was the 6 like canonical stories were written by the primary author.
Yeah.
And then
Frank Herbert, I think his name is.
maybe. And then
Sounds good.
well, that sounds, I'll go
Sure.
with that. Then Mr. Herbert, and
Herbie.
he passed away, and his son ended up like writing the other stories that were
Oh.
like just fleshing out the world.
It's never the same. Like
No.
Real quick, I do just want to point out that I can't speak for you guys, but anything I say regarding this franchise or anything at all, I am no expert at all. It's
I don't
just
think
these
either
2
of us
movies
are.
that I have any knowledge of.
Me as well.
So,
Going back to that real quick, I started to read the first book. I've said to you guys a couple times
Mhm.
now. And I read like 4 or 5 chapters, and there was just so much world building and like names and places and spice, and I was like, I don't know, man. Like there's too much here. Like it's like I read Lord of the Rings and I loved it, and it's like my favorite book of all time, but
Mhm.
it's pretty straightforward. They're walking, like they meet elves, and they meet like, and they go into the woods and they get into battles, but like this was like spice and planets and emperors
I
and
think it's a little different too because, like, I mean, I feel like stuff that's in Lord of the Rings is pretty broad. Like, everybody kind of knows what an elf looks like.
yeah.
You know what I mean? So, like, you can
Yeah.
kind of visualize that stuff in your head. Whereas I had never seen the Dune movies and I started reading the book, I don't know how I would interpret to take things. So I think that makes it a little bit more tricky.
Well, I mean, that's like Stellan Skarsgård, like Baron Harkonnen. He's
Yeah.
like this big fat dude who can float, and he sits in black ooze when he doesn't feel good. Like, what does that even mean? Like, yeah, it's not as straightforward.
See,
And
you already
obviously,
lost me.
yeah, like we're on another planet, obviously, and like there's
Right.
space travel, and the world is different in that you can't even be out in the sun because it's too hot, and like spice is the biggest commodity to living and existing, and so it's
Mhm.
obviously sci-fi fantasy. But Lord of the Rings always, even though it's crazy in sci-fi and fantasy, it felt more grounded for sure, and straightforward, and like wizards and stuff we're super familiar with. Dune is definitely like, okay, giant earthworms that are like miles long that live underground and hear everything you do. Okay, that's a little different.
I want to say before we get into the plot stuff, we're recording this recently after Dune Part 2 has come out, and if for some reason, if you're listening to this episode later on, this movie is like taking over. Like, everyone is talking about this movie.
Oh yeah.
They're like saying, so prior to seeing it, I've heard people say that it's the next Empire Strikes Back. I've heard people say is the second Lord of the Rings, Two Towers.
Yeah, Two Towers.
I heard someone call it like referring to, like, as a second addition to a major franchise. Like,
Yeah.
that's this decade or generation's Star Wars or Lord of the Rings. It's going to end up being like that if they can nail the third one.
That's what I've heard all week too. Is like it's the same as Empire or Lord of the Rings franchises.
So, and then with that too, hearing all that stuff before seeing the movie, I was worried about how my expectations would play out because they've just been set so high. Not to mention it's the highest rated film on Rotten Tomatoes to date.
Yeah.
Which Steve rightfully claimed that film on our film fantasy episode, so check that out. Selfless plug. We also saw a trailer for Godzilla and Kong, which I put on my list, and I can tell you right now, it looks like a fun movie, and that's about it.
It will be fun. It will be fun.
That's
There's no
as
doubt
far as
about
it's
it.
gonna go.
And it will make enough money because it'll probably be out by itself for a weekend.
Yeah.
But like, we'll have to see how much.
I mean, they're going to keep pumping them out.
Oh,
yeah,
for
sure. But like, it's because I also heard somebody was making a connection from Dune Part 2 to that movie of how like Dune Part 2 was like all practical, like the worms like looked legit.
Oh, okay.
And like you
I
look at
didn't know where you were going
Godzilla
with
and
that.
Kong, and you're just like,
Yeah, I was really worried. No, I thought you were going to be like somebody was comparing Dune Part 2
That's
to
what
Kong and Godzilla, and I was like, they're not even on the same level, dude.
No, just like graphically, how like Dune felt because they filmed Dune. I don't know where they filmed it, but they filmed it in an actual desert. Like most of the scenes are in the sand.
Yeah.
Like it's not a soundstage.
I don't
it's
like
not
sand.
in Hollywood.
It's coarse and rough and irritating. And it gets everywhere.
Yeah, see, like sand.
Yeah.
And
I have to agree with that
King
statement
Kong,
too.
Godzilla, they made the whole movie in like one soundstage.
Yeah, they probably made it in one green screen block. All the actors probably don't even know what they're looking at half the time.
Nope.
They should release that movie at the same time they release Avatar 3.
Oh yeah, because it could compete for sure.
I was gonna say because totally stand a chance.
Oh man,
cool.
Should we get back to the plot of Dune?
Yeah.
I don't know if we would call it the plot. It's going to be something about Dune, but
our interpretation of memory of the plot of summary.
Yeah. So we're introduced to Paul.
Yes. So
Timothée Chalamet, who
only person with a normal name in the whole.
Paul. Just Paul.
Paul. Everybody else has like wild names.
He gets like 14 names in the second movie, but he's still Paul at the end of the day.
Yeah, no matter what, he's still Paul.
He's just Paul.
We will probably heavily refer to him as Paul.
Paul or Timmy.
Right, so let's see. The story takes place in a future where powerful noble houses rule different planets.
True.
Whoa.
Duke, and I'm gonna. Here comes the first name we're gonna butcher.
Oh God.
Duke Leto Atreides.
Oscar Isaac, right?
Yes. Oscar Isaac is assigned to the Padishah Emperor to govern the desert planet known as Dune. Dune is the only source of the highly valuable spice called Meglane.
The spice has a name?
Apparently.
You know that.
According to my AI robot.
Oh.
Which grants extended life and enhanced mental abilities.
That sounds pretty bad. So they're basically doing mushrooms.
Quick question.
Yes.
All day long.
Is there a chance that your AI robot is just making up plot as well and characters and names? Is there any chance of that happening? Oh, okay.
But I wouldn't be able to tell you either way.
It's been done.
Yeah, and Colby and I had gone out a night before we saw the movie, and our waiter was talking about it, and he told us that whenever they take the spice, they're actually just high. And there was like an article he read about that summarized Dune Part 1 before he saw Part 2. And it made so much more sense that we spent like the rest of our time trying to find that article.
Oh yeah, the blue eyes just means they're like stoned out of their mind.
Right. So Oscar Isaac, along with his son Paul, and his concubine, Lady Jessica, not his wife, which is a part of the
Bene Gesserit.
Yes. Arrived to take control. They face numerous challenges, including the harsh desert environment and the constant threat from their rivals, the House of Harkonnen.
The Harkonnens, right?
Harkonnen, yes.
Nice.
Got it. Nailed it.
Yeet yeet. Moon Knight aims to bring justice and prosperity to the native people, the Freemen.
Is that Poe Dameron, you mean?
Yes.
Okay.
I wasn't sure. I knew this MCU name, but I knew Poe Dameron too. He's probably like my favorite character in the new Star Wars
I just
trilogy.
want to say, Oscar Isaac did a phenomenal job in that
Oh,
role.
absolutely.
So my biggest, like, usually if a character dies, I'm like, okay, it makes sense for the story, but I really didn't want Oscar Isaac or
No.
Jason Momoa to die.
No.
And I gotta say, they did great jobs. I'm just mad that we were robbed of a further performance.
Yeah, like Momoa would have brought like some ease to the second movie because he's like silly.
Yeah. He's
But-
just like himself, I feel.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Javier Bardem kind of covered that role the
Yeah.
whole time. Every 3 minutes, he's like, "It's Jesus."
Right.
And he would do something completely wrong, and he'd be like, "He did it on purpose." Like,
I loved how much praise they got from there. I would say when it comes to Poe Dameron's death scene, I got the part where he like they're like, we're putting this in your tooth, so when you bite on it and just breathe, it's gonna be your last breath, but you're breathing out poison, so whoever you're breathing it towards is gonna die.
yeah.
I thought that came a little too early in the movie. I thought that was gonna come towards the end, because when he sets that up, I'm like, all right, so he's gonna die. That's what they're saying there. They're letting us know ahead of time. But then, like, it happens a lot faster than I thought it would, and I wasn't surprised, but I wasn't expecting it when it came.
I think it's like halfway through the movie still. It's a 3-hour movie, so it might feel like it's sooner, but I feel like it's like halfway through.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably
still
is.
too soon.
Yeah, I don't know. That's just how I read it too. And then let's see here. Okay,
Continue.
as Leto's rule unfolds,
Leto.
Paul.
Who's Leto?
Leto, what's
Okay.
Oscar
Poe
Isaac's
Dameron?
name?
Gotcha.
What is? Do you know what the character's?
We're following.
Is it Leto? Is that right?
Duke.
Leto?
Well, you can just
Leto?
call him Duke.
Jared
Duke.
Leto.
Duke, Leto, Atreides.
Nope,
call
not
him
Jared Leto. Nope.
Duke Jared Leto. Okay.
How
Nope.
about
As-
just call him
as-
Morbius?
Why not?
Just call
As
him
Leto's
Morbius.
rule unfolds,
Here we go. Morbius.
Paul. Yeah, right. Paul begins to discover his own unique abilities.
Ooh.
He possesses the potential to become the
Muad'Dib or whatever.
I'm gonna say the Messiah
There you go.
because I
Come
can't
on.
pronounce that.
Smart.
And then it says after a messiah figure
Chosen
who can
one.
bridge time and space. I don't know if that's true.
Well, yeah, because he can he can't yet. But
Oh,
in the second one, he when he drinks the blue milk, he can see everything.
that's right. That's right. I forgot about that.
Wasn't milk.
What?
Paul's
It definitely wasn't milk.
it was
The
2%.
water of life, the blue milk from Luke Skywalker.
Yeah. Paul's connection with the
Nobody
Fremen.
knows what we're talking about.
No, I don't
Nope.
even. No. This is
tried.
great.
It deepens as he learns their ways and gains their trust. Yes. He spends time with them. He learns. He wants to go off and fight with Jason Momoa, but Jason Momoa won't let him because he knows that he's
Duncan,
got.
Idaho. To you.
Yes.
Duncan, Idaho. Yep.
Yep.
That's
That's an easy
Uh,
name. You got to say that one because it's easy.
I'll say
That's like the
Duncan.
most American name I've ever heard in my life.
And so yeah, he wants to go and he wants to fight with Duncan so we can learn their ways. And he's like, "No, you're too noble of a character to go out in that and potentially risk dying." So he doesn't. But they end up going with his parents. I don't know. Trying to fill in the gaps here. House Atreides, is that how you say it?
Yeah, you got it.
Okay.
You nailed it.
I'm an English teacher, in case
There
you
you
didn't know
go.
that.
Crushing it.
Falls victim to treacherous plot orchestrated by the Harkonians and their secret ally, the Emperor.
Christopher Walken.
Yes. Morbius is killed. And
Like, why is he butt naked? Is that necessary?
I don't know.
I was thinking the same thing. I mean, I feel
somebody
like
had-
it was a little unnecessary. He didn't
somebody
have
had to
anything
do
on
that.
him.
Somebody's job was to strip him completely naked and put him in a chair.
Yeah. And then Paul and Jessica are forced to flee into the unforgiving desert. There, they encounter the Freemen, a fiercely independent warriors and skilled group of desert warriors. Paul's abilities and leadership qualities earn him their respect and their admiration. As the story concludes, Paul's destiny becomes intertwined with the future of both the Iraqians and the Freemans. He embraces his role as their leader and sets out on the path of revenge and liberation.
Cue
That's Dune
Zendaya.
Part 1.
Remember when they were marketing this movie and we thought Zendaya was going to be in the whole thing?
Mhm.
And she wasn't. She was in like 14 flashback sequences.
remember-
in the same scene.
Florence Pugh kind of filled that role in the
Yes.
second one. She was still in it
Yeah.
more than Zendaya
For
in the
sure.
first one, but she was in like all of the marketing, all of the interviews, everything. And then she was only in it for like, I don't know, maybe 10 minutes total.
Yeah. She's probably just
think-
good at that stuff. So, 'Cause she
Yeah,
is-
I remember, Steve, after you saw Dune Part 1, because you would asked me if I had seen it and I hadn't,
yeah.
and you had told me that Zendaya is like not in it at all.
Yeah.
So when I rewatched it, she like appeared more, and I guess my impression of her character was that like she was supposed to be like some sort of goddess,
Mhm.
like the hierarch of whatever group she belongs with, and I was kind of like pleasantly surprised that she wasn't. Because I don't know, there was all that build up and all the hype I had heard surrounding the film is what led me to that impression. Like, I think he's like, you build up and you see her at the end. So I was expecting her reveal at the end of the movie to be like Luke Skywalker at the end of Force Awakens.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. She's just like another Freeman. She's just another
there.
character. Like Stilgar, the Javier Bardem character, is like the leader of their group.
Yeah.
You don't know that in the trailer. That's for sure.
And I'll give all the credit in the world to Duncan for dying and then just coming back from the dead.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he tried, man. He was going
my
out
God.
swinging.
It was awesome.
He was going full Khal Drago, except we never.
He was
got to see it.
he was running on Duncan like America.
The thing is he knew he was going to die, so he had nothing to lose.
Oh, absolutely.
He was
Yeah,
like, I'm
once-
at least going to take a couple of them with me.
Once
Yeah,
you
right,
do
when he locked that
that
door.
little sword salute, you know it's all over. Like,
And then they started using the laser beams to cut through the door, which they could have just used to cut through Jason Momoa, but they didn't.
no, too easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. So that's Dune 1.
So wait, hold on. Who is your favorite overall character from the first movie? Is it Paul? Like, does it just go to him
No.
because he's the main character?
I got to go with, I mean, Oscar Isaac, man. He's just
that's what
so
I was going to
good.
say.
Yeah. Not Dave Bautista?
No.
No.
I mean, I think
Jinx.
he's better in the second one, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I leaned over to Steve when we were watching Dune Part 2, and Colby, I know you haven't really watched Game of Thrones, but his character reminded me a lot of Joffrey from Game of Thrones.
I've heard
who's
stories
just
of Joffrey.
A whiny brat who's also the nephew to like the hierarchy.
Yeah.
He's the rightful heir to the throne. And he becomes king. But he talks to his uncles a lot, so I guess that's where I got that impression. Like he's the nephew of whoever is his uncle.
Yeah, I might have to go Duncan, Idaho.
I mean, I
He's
loved
just
it. He was
cool.
epic. He was hilarious.
Aquaman in it, dude?
He was.
I mean,
he was
Aquaman's
not to say
cool.
he would be my second choice if I didn't go with Poe Dameron.
No, yeah, you're right. He would be my second one.
Well, it's just like the best when he like shows up and he's like, "Have you been putting on muscle?" And he goes, "You think so?" And no, and he just like walks away. Great. And then for scenes, I really like the whole box scene at the beginning with like the old lady, Bene Gesserit lady.
That was creepy.
Where he has to like put his hand in the box and feel all the pain and see
That
if
was
he can,
super
like,
freaky.
handle it, which happens again in the second one to a different character. Which
Right.
is also very cool.
What do you think's in the box?
I don't know.
Spiders.
What's in the box?
I heard it was a preview of Madam Web, and that's why they were screaming so much.
That's why I said spiders.
He got to see Dune Part 3 in the box.
Whoa.
He knew how it ended.
Whoa!
That's crazy.
That's wild.
So overall good impressions. Dune
Yeah.
Part 1.
Yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
Nice.
Cool. I don't I'm gonna take a risk asking this bot about part 2.
Oh God.
I'll try to do the same summary.
Yeah, all right.
See what
Now
happens.
Let's see how that goes.
Do the same for Dune.
All right, so Dune Part 2, obviously, for me, was my most anticipated movie this year. Like, that one and Furiosa are the 2 movies that I really want to see this year.
Mhm.
And my expectations were super high, and I think they were completely met, personally. What do you guys think? Because I'll let you figure out your AI storyline.
I have it up. It's already, it generates like ridiculously.
That's crazy.
It's kind of scary.
Who do
I'm
you
just reading
think-
it now.
Who do you think was the best character addition in part 2?
I mean, okay, so
Actor wise or character plot wise?
Character. Because, like, obviously,
I'm gonna
like,
say
Florence Pugh is a beautiful young lady, but, like, she doesn't
do anything.
she
I was
doesn't do
gonna
it in
say
this movie.
Elvis
Yeah,
as an actor.
it's got to be, what is it, Fade Rotha? Austin Butler?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He was
from
pretty badass.
from
Who?
Zoe 101.
Yes.
I never watched that show.
Austin Butler was a new addition to the later seasons of the Nickelodeon hit TV show Zoe 101, which
Yeah.
Colby and I grew up watching. I thought that he knew that was Austin Butler, and I tapped on him to let him know. I went, "Hey, he was on Zoe 101," full intending him to just roll his eyes at me. And he looked like he walked in on seeing Santa Claus on Christmas Day. Like,
Yeah, no. About halfway through that movie, Andrew leans over to me and he goes, "Dude, it's James from Zoe 101." And I was like, "No, it's not." And
and then he looked at him.
The process, and then I was like, "No fucking way!" And I googled it, and my
He pulled his
mind
phone out in
was
the theater and looked
blown.
at it.
My mind was blown for about 6 minutes while I was just wrapping my head around that. I've
Nice.
never seen him in anything else. Like, I know
Yeah.
he's been in things, but like
He was,
I could never put a
Elvis, yeah.
face with Austin Butler. I didn't know who it was.
You didn't see
Yeah.
Elvis?
No,
I
I
didn't.
didn't.
I didn't see Elvis either.
But that blew my mind.
Yeah. So that was funny. Colby and I also had not related to the film at all, but we had an experience that we shared in the men's room before the movie, which sounded less homosexual in my head.
Wow. That's brutal. Glad I wasn't in there.
We went to use the restroom, and in my stall there was a clipboard. But then when we went to wash our hands, one sink had popcorn kernels in it.
I saw that sink.
The other sink, it had like hot dog heads.
Yeah, it was like hot
just
dog
the
bites or
Yeah,
something.
so it was the same bathroom from when Steve and I saw Kung Fu Panda. But there was one sink in the middle that I had no issues with, but then
It's always those side sinks.
wouldn't give Colby the soap. And then
you're not a real
He had to go to the
boy.
other sink, but then it wouldn't spray the water. And it didn't spray the water until I put my hands under it.
Andrew was moving his hand in
I had
and
to,
out
like-
so the water would keep coming out because
So
it
he
just
could
wasn't
wash his
working.
hands, yeah.
Oh, man.
Should have been there.
Yeah.
I usually get that with the paper towel dispenser.
Oh, I
I
hate
don't
that.
exist. I wave my hand, I put my face under it, nothing happens.
I don't get it. I don't understand
whole-
like what triggers it.
No idea.
Yes. This whole daylight savings thing really fucked up my bowel movement schedule.
Wow.
Like,
I just
Sheldon
pooped
over
when
there.
I'm ready.
yeah, I won't get into the details, but I usually I'll drive to school, and when I get to school I use the bathroom.
You wait
But
for
now it's-
school to use the bathroom?
I drive to school.
That's your
and then,
first problem right there. You used to poop at home.
No, see, it's not on my schedule.
How did we get
I'm
here?
I am if I wake up, I eat my breakfast, and then if something's not settling, I have a half-hour drive to let it. I'm not gonna to let it settle.
You mean unsettle?
But
Jeez.
yes. And then I
Doesn't
get
even
to
have
the
time
school.
to land. A half an hour? You must be
Yeah,
hungry after.
No, look at me. For our listeners, I'm built like a stick figure.
Yeah, I'm like 2 Andrews, and I'm shorter than you.
Yeah. So yeah. So that anyway, the reason I brought up pooping is because
Oh,
the school has the paper towel dispenser there that doesn't work.
gotcha.
Yeah.
Cool.
I guess do you want to do the recap then for 2?
Oh sure.
Yeah.
Uh,
We'll go from poop to that.
I thought, yeah, because this movie ain't shit. It's not shit because it's really good.
Have I ever told you guys Madame Web is an awful movie?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, don't
May
see
have
that.
come up in
It's
conversation.
It's not like Dune Part 2. So, all right, tell us about Dune Part 2, Andrew.
Well, I will tell you what my Snapchat AI robot named Chelsea told me. In Dune Part 2, the story continues with Paul as the leader of the Freemen on the desert planet Arrakis. Paul, now known as Muad'Dib, the Messiah.
I don't remember them saying that word in the movie.
Muad'Dib?
Muad'Dib? Something like that.
Muad'Dib, that sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds better. That's closer.
Strive to fulfill his destiny as the Emperor brings a new order to the universe.
Yeah, it's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm. With Christopher Walken. And
Not a good addition.
Sidebar, with Paul, he kind of goes like OP towards the end there. And it reminds me of Anakin in Revenge of the Sith.
You think he kills all the young Jedi in the next movie?
I think he will.
I think Paul goes around and kills all the young sandworms for sure.
Just drinks the water of life till the end of his days.
Oh,
And
that
he's
ain't
gonna
water,
have
buddy.
he's gonna have
That ain't
twins with Zendaya, but they're not gonna know because he's gonna marry Florence Pugh.
They're gonna get separated.
Mm-hmm.
Plot twist.
Whoa,
Yeah.
what if Dune is just the precursor to Star Wars? Just goes right into Star Wars.
When I watched Dune Part 1, which we're past now, but when I was watching that movie, my head was being constantly filled with Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and Lord of the Rings.
Well, let me fill you guys in on something that you might not know. Dune is a futuristic movie. Star Wars, the first line is literally a long time ago, so there's no way it could be the same thing.
Yeah, because we know about multiverses.
Mic drop.
You are so... That's it. That's it. All right, wrap it up, everybody. That was it. Dune's a multiverse.
Thank you all for...
you can time travel, do whatever you want.
Under Paul's rule, the Freemen become a formidable force, fighting against the oppressive rule of the Emperor and the powerful houses. They wage a war of liberation, spreading their influence across the universe and gaining support from various factions. As Paul's power and influence grows, he faces internal conflicts and struggles with the consequences of his actions.
The Force.
He pretty much. He grapples with the ethical dilemmas of leadership and sacrifices required to bring about the change. One thing we hadn't mentioned,
The voice.
his mother.
What was that?
What do they call her? The Reverend Mother now? Is that what she
the
is?
Reverend Mother in the second one, yeah.
Yeah, so she's
Rebecca Ferguson to me.
She's pregnant.
Super pregnant. She talks to the pregnant baby as well.
Yeah, that doesn't become any less weird the more it
And
goes.
she's gonna hopefully she's gonna give birth to Anna Taylor-Joy.
That's how they set it up, for sure.
Yeah. And a lot of those visions, it seems like he has, I don't know if they all come true, but they are potential outcomes that could happen.
Did you guys think in the middle of the movie, like, oh, is this Doctor Strange? And there's only one outcome that'll get them to the end game?
I didn't. That thought didn't cross my mind.
Because he keeps seeing the visions, and he said, there is a path through. There is a path through. And it's almost like when Strange says that there's one way to, we're in the end game now.
Yeah.
I thought of that at one point.
That might have, now that you say that might have, like, glossed my brain at one point.
No way
I will say, like, at the end, once I just love how obsessed all those people were with him being the Messiah.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not the Messiah. I will never, I don't want to be your ruler. That's exactly what the Messiah would say. He's the Messiah.
Dude, Javier Bardem literally stole the movie.
He was hilarious.
So funny.
Great.
He was like, don't call a big worm. And then he's like, is it a grandmother worm?
Yeah, he called like the biggest worm there is.
It's the biggest worm there is.
Well,
and he was like, he was saying that he's like, we already know you're a cool dude. Don't like raise your ego or anything. But he did.
Oh yeah.
Me and Andrew had a sidebar on the worms itself in the movie. So they really emphasize how difficult it is to not just call the worm necessarily, but like to actually like get on it and ride the worm, to actually stay on it, I guess.
Yeah.
They really emphasize that between the first two movies. And so they show him learning how to ride the worm or whatever, and it was difficult, and they were worried he died or whatever. And then the next scene, there's 94 villagers sitting on the worm, and they're holding a basket and like a little like bonfire on the worm.
Like a taxi almost.
How?
Yeah.
Yeah.
How? You got old people. Those
So-
old people aren't jumping on the worm, man.
I thought about it a little bit more. I think it's just they're saying it was difficult for outsiders to ride the worms. So like Paul is not a freeman, even though
Right.
they like invite him into becoming a freeman, and he's the
Which is-
Messiah. He's not like born a freeman. So I think
It's
to
a
the
plot
freeman,
point,
it's like
too.
an easy thing to do.
So, but even then,
At one
but
point in the movie, that actually gets
basket on
brought
the
up.
worm. How'd they get the basket on there?
Might
Is there a worm bus stop?
There might be.
It's a
Is it like a
convenience
subway
station,
where
yeah.
the worm's going by and everybody gets on at different points and then they just converge in the middle? I have questions about the worm.
Yeah, I think that was one of the things that you just had to like overlook a little bit.
Nope, can't do it.
Easier said than done for Colby.
Dune
I'm
Part
afraid.
3 better address these worm issues because
Although
also it doesn't seem like they have anybody to advocate for them because it's kind of like enslave labor. It's like enslavery for the worms. They're just hooking onto them and just making them drive them places. That's not
Mhm.
okay.
they usually feed him though, because that when they killed all those
Yeah.
bad guys at the beginning, they did leave him,
I
and
guess that's true.
they set
Right.
a thumper so that he would come and eat.
You're right. Worms are taken care of. All right,
Yeah,
proceed.
so they feed him when they can.
I was just gonna say that I liked how the Reverend Mother was like, when she said to it, because she saw him hanging off with Zendaya, she's like, remember, you need to save yourself for someone of royal stature. That reminded me of Game of Thrones with Robb Stark. How he
fucked
was,
it up, and then he died at the
yeah.
red wedding.
yeah.
Our boy
Sorry.
Paul didn't fuck it up, so we're
No,
good.
and I'm rewatching Game of Thrones right now, and Joffrey, who's like he's just so diabolical. Like he's arranged to be married to one person, and then they're like, why don't you marry her instead? He like holds up his end, he's like, nope, sorry, I'm arranged to be married to her, and then they tell him it's okay for him not to marry her. But I was like, wow, even like Joffrey got it through, like, come on, Rob.
Come on, Rob.
Rob.
Sounded like what T do there for a second.
Me being Cog.
Yeah, a little bit of Korg came
I
through
could
on
read
there.
the rest of the plot in my Cog voice if you gentlemen would appreciate that.
No, I don't want to force you to do that.
You could have just said no. Right.
Simple.
Meanwhile,
Feist.
make sure I didn't. Yeah. Meanwhile, the Bene Gesserit, ancient sisterhood with their own plans and agendas, continue to manipulate the events behind the scenes. Their actions and machinations intersect with Paul's path, leading to surprising alliances and betrayals. Care to elaborate on any of that, fellas?
The Bene Gesserit, they're like the religious people who, so they're the one, they've chosen Paul as like the chosen one, but they also chose Austin Butler's character as a chosen one. And there's probably others that we don't know about, because they're essentially trying to groom the ultimate Messiah that will let them be in power, essentially. That's what I gather from it.
Okay.
So
Good,
I could be totally wrong, but that's what it seemed like to me, is that they were just trying to groom the ultimate Messiah leader character that would ultimately lead to them being in the highest seat of power.
Which results in Dave Bautista's death.
Yes. He was, although, like, so he was angry when they went after them, and he was still in charge. He was, like, super angry, and then they got off the ship, and then a couple of his dudes started to get, like, slayed, and he, like, turned around and ran away like a little bitch. And I was like, what happened? Like, Dave Bautista's, like, 6'5", massive battle dude, and he just like turned around and ran away.
But tying into what we said earlier with how he drank the blue milk
Blue milk.
and got visions of everything,
Perfect.
he learns that he's related to Dave Bautista
True.
and to
Cousins,
which
right?
what was it?
I think he's a cousin. Would he be a cousin
Yeah, because his mother was a daughter.
of Baron Harkonnen?
Yeah,
Stellan
and
Skarsgård's
so
character.
that was a twist. Didn't see that one coming.
No.
And I know Steve didn't either, because when we're watching these movies, Steve is usually just quiet watching the movie. And when he revealed that, I heard Steve go, "What?"
Yeah.
And that's how I knew it was
I know
important.
it got me. I didn't expect that at all.
I'm like,
I didn't
that's
think
how
it'd
I
have-
knew it was important.
And again, that goes into Star Wars again, where we find
Yep.
out Rey is a Palpatine. Like it's like
Well,
the same thing.
agree to disagree on that one.
Yeah, I don't know about that one.
What
That's
are you talking about? She's
yeah.
not.
Well, I would never say that.
Why not?
Same concept, different execution. Right. That was there's one more paragraph in the summary.
There's a paragraph left.
That was like I've already read like 6 paragraphs. Throughout Dune Part 2, Paul's journey is one self-discovery, political maneuvering, and the exploration of consequences of power. The story delves deeper into the intricate universe created by Frankie Herbert, the author, filled
Frankie.
with complex characters, rich world building, and thought-provoking themes. And I'm going to read you the conclusion. I hope this gives you a glimpse into the captivating plot of Dune Part 2. Let me know if there's anything else you'd like to discuss.
I feel like I didn't even need to watch the movie. You just
No.
told me everything I needed to know.
So, one other thing at the end there when he's kind of going all Anakin at the end there when he's like, the power is like clearly taking hold of him. He makes the agreement there with the Emperor. He's like, I'll spare your life. But then that's where the guy steps in and that's when they fight and he dies. He's like, all right, well, and I like that way of if you're not going to fight, who's your champion? Like, I like those kinds of like duels there because they usually pay off well. And I'll be honest, when Willy Wonka was fighting against Elvis, I was a little. I wanted to, I knew that Timothée Chalamet was going to come out on top, but I had a little bit of doubt because of how good of performance that Austin Butler gave. Like, it was a very good fight, and I wish it had gone on a little longer. But then he dies, and then he says, "All right, I'm gonna marry Florence Pugh now." So lucky him.
It's a lucky guy right there. He got to date Zendaya and then marry Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good week.
And then when they said that the houses of the world, what were they called?
The rest of the houses are they
didn't accept.
Josh Brolin went over to the one cell phone or fax machine that they had and was like, "Hey, I'm gonna fax all the other houses and see if they're gonna like bow to your power and your command." And he did that, and then like a couple minutes later after the fight, he was like, "Oh my god, we just got a return text. They said no. So now you're gonna have to fight a holy war to determine who gets the planet." And I'm pretty sure that's what Dune Part 3 is gonna be.
And then Anna Taylor-Joy from her mother's womb says, "What just happened?" And her mom tells her, "Your brother just started a war."
Although in that
the
scene,
Great War.
That scene is obviously fantastic. But when the old Bene Gesserit lady starts to talk, and he like uses the voice and says silence, and she like falls backwards, that was badass.
Yeah.
I froze.
That was when I started to get like, okay, he's like that. This power is corrupting him.
Well, it's all powerful now because he drank the blue milk, right?
Yeah. So that's that. And I'm very happy that the baby asked what was happening because I needed that clarification at the end there.
How many like in body shots of fetuses did we see? Like
4 or 5.
6?
I'd say around 5. Yeah. I
was
wasn't
enough.
keeping count, but
more than I would have predicted going into it.
Yeah,
this is true. Yeah,
if it was a drinking game, you'd be feeling it.
I thought Dune 2 was funnier than Dune 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, Javier Bardem was just like,
Yeah.
but like not like goofy. Like he was kind of goofy funny, but it didn't take you out of the movie.
But he
Right.
was serious.
Right.
He wasn't.
Yeah.
It wasn't him trying to be funny. It was him like actually believing what was happening.
Yeah,
It was
Right.
just the way he was, the expressions that he was having while he was doing it was what made it so funny. Because he
Yeah.
was a diehard believer, regardless of what happened.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, yeah.
he was ready to die. Remember?
I'd go see that movie again just for him.
Like-
I'd see it again, but like,
Wonka would be putting up a tent or whatever, and he'd be like, "That's it. That's Messiah." And he'd
that's
be like, "Oh,
you know,
dude, I
the
forgot to
Messiah
put
would
this-
do that too.
Yeah, I forgot to put this pole in the tent. I did it wrong." And he goes, "Just like the Messiah would do." I'm like, okay.
You mean Uso?
I also will say the home world of the Harkonnens, whatever
Yeah.
Harka TT or Harka Lili or Harkonnen P. I have no idea what it's called. But the black and white thing with the black sun, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that was
cool.
really cool.
yeah, it was pretty cool.
They had Austin Butler's character looked like Megamind and Voldemort had a baby.
He did. He did.
Pretty solid.
He was pretty ugly.
Yeah. Very so
Remember-
ugly.
Remember that scene
He
though?
was good
that-
looking on Zoe 101 too.
when he's like, so like the first hour of the movie, I really enjoyed like he's like trying to work his way up the ranks basically, where
Mhm.
he's like low Freeman and then he becomes like high Freeman by the end of the first hour. But that
Yeah.
scene where they have those tactics where they attack the big machine, like the big spice machine, and
Oh,
like
yeah.
Zendaya has like the bazooka, and he has to like run around basically and get shot at so that she can shoot it, and the guy almost gets her, but she like turns around and shoots the bazooka, and he like flies across the screen. Like that whole sequence was so cool,
It was very cool.
so like well shot, and it felt like they felt like they were actually trying to take down a giant machine and not just like a movie sequence. That
Yeah,
was
it
clearly-
Yeah.
was actually. I think they kind of ripped it off of Star Wars. It was almost shot for shot when Mando was taking over the Sandcrawler from the Jawas. I mean, uncanny how similar they were. They should probably Disney should get on that. That's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
They already would have if that was the case.
Yeah. Bob Iger wouldn't stand for that.
Also, that was it. I think it was a different scene, but those like magnetic plates that like came out of the sand.
Those
Oh,
were
the
so
mines or whatever.
cool.
Those
Stuff.
things are sick.
Those
That
things were
was
so
so
cool.
cool.
I've never seen that in a movie. Like I've seen
No.
bombs and stuff, but like they were like metal plate, like just metal steel box plates. that
Yeah.
would fly out of nowhere and just blow up the tracks. It was
All right. Well, here, valid complaint. All right, hear me out. Firstly, where did they get those big metal landmines? All right.
They made them.
Okay, sure. That maybe.
They're
Secondly,
solar panels from the ancient times of the 21st century.
okay. Well, if that's true, which all right, disregard how they got them. Then all right, forget
Okay.
about that.
Because I answered that
How-
one.
How did
How'd they get them there?
How'd they get them there? Did
Yeah.
they strap those onto a worm and just pray that the worm didn't like,
Eat them.
boom or something? Because like they're big plates. You couldn't just like pick that up and put it there.
But they're magnetized. Maybe they have like a technology that like magnetizes it so they can
For
lift
the
it with like,
worms.
yeah. So
I got it.
Also, it was really convenient that Josh Brolin's character like showed up again, which was
Yeah.
cool. And then he was like, "Oh, just so you know, I know where all your nukes are. We should go get them."
Yeah, that was like talk about convenience for convenience
Yeah,
sake.
seriously.
Yeah. I mean,
That
it
was probably the most convenient thing in the movie.
Right.
every family has nukes. Your dad didn't tell you about them? I know where they are. You have
Well,
the
isn't
code.
it your lucky day?
Yeah, that was a little convenient, but I can buy it. Like I can get behind it because it didn't like change the plot
And I
dramatically.
mean,
No.
any chance to see Cable is a good chance to see him.
yeah,
I
mean,
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he
You
literally
know.
did just kind of show up, and he's like, "Oh, also, yeah, you got like 40 nukes just like around the corner. They're in a mountain."
We could blow
In
the
a
whole
rock.
planet up like 50 times if you want.
Yeah,
In the like gladiator battle scene that Austin Butler did,
Yeah,
I thought that one of the three guys coming out was gonna be Josh Brolin.
I thought so too.
Like when they kind of welcomed, because that would have been a good spot to like, oh wow, we know he's not dead, but
But
whoa, he's
the-
still alive.
the third guy who wasn't drugged though was the doctor from the first one, right? Who betrayed them.
I don't know.
Remember the doc?
Catch that, yeah.
Remember the doctor who like gave Oscar Isaac the tooth? He's like essentially the one that betrayed
But
them.
I thought he got killed.
I don't know that he looked just like the doctor though, so I was a little confused by that.
Yeah, I don't know. I
could be wrong.
I didn't have enough attention to detail on that one.
I just wanted to see him cut 3 dudes in half or whatever. So
oh yeah,
I was cool with it.
Yeah, no, the choreographs like of the fighting scenes were all incredible.
It was also cool that like these 2 movies are so epically large in scale, but like the main ending point of both of them are like single one-on-one knife combat sequences. Because in the first one, he fights the Freeman and kills him essentially to like get them in with the Freeman people, and then in this one, he kills, Austin Butler's character to become the Messiah essentially.
Right. So,
which is really cool. That works because it like you would think in a movie like this you need like an epic battle to end a movie like that, but like this worked just as well.
The one thing I liked about the movie that I had 2 parts to it and I lost the first part. So the second part was with the Reverend Mother was when she drank that, what was it?
The water of life.
The water of life. Thank you. When she had her apple juice to feed the baby. And they didn't know she was pregnant.
How did they not know that? They have like
Is that what made her survive? Is that what it was? Because like
no,
they made it.
It was it. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was because she was one of the Bene Gesserits or whatever.
Yeah.
I think there was like a throwaway line where Paul was like, "Oh, she could like change the poison inside of her body or something, or like hold it off or something because she was one of the witches or something."
They said I think they said she's been training her whole life for this moment, kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right. Well, so she was also carrying a girl, which was she not supposed to have a son?
No.
Okay.
Not in the first one. That's why they were so mad at her, the older lady, because she was like, "Oh, you had a son instead of a girl that you promised that you would give us or whatever," because that's how they keep passing down the plan, whatever it is. But
and I really appreciated how they showed us how the water of life was made.
Worm juice.
Yeah, that was really cool.
I didn't need that, but I'm happy I got it.
That scene, like where she basically pulled it out of the sand and then murdered it and got the if that was done wrong and it looked cheesy, that might change like the whole movie.
Absolutely.
It was like so cool that you're like, damn, like that's crazy. That's how they get the water of life. Like that's nuts, and it looks so good and it looks so cool. There's so many sequences though when you think back on it that I'm like, oh, that was so cool. That was well done. That played into. And like a lot of the sequences, like, in movies typically, like you'll watch a scene almost to completion, and then a new scene starts at the beginning. But I feel like in this movie, sometimes a scene just like ends in the middle of it, and then a new scene starts in the middle of that scene.
Yeah.
So it's almost like this pace.
There's layers to it.
Yeah, there's like layers to it that was different than most movies. So sometimes you don't need that slow, like, all right, we did the thing, now let's walk away and change scenes. It was almost like the scene ended, but it wasn't ready to end, and then a new scene started after
and then,
it already started.
With that same thought process, like, what's the timeline of that?
This whole movie?
Say, it starts in one scene, then cuts to another, but goes back to the original. Has the same amount of time passed with that in-between scene, or are we going pick it right back where we left off?
Yeah, it's hard to tell.
That's something I just wonder in general about film and TV.
Like, if I had to guess how long in real time Dune 1 and 2 completely, it's only a couple months, right?
I'm looking at it right now.
Because she's pregnant the whole time.
This is true, yeah.
And she hasn't given birth in the movie.
She's not really showing either.
It's not. I mean, there's a decent
until the end.
By the end.
Yeah.
So maybe like 6 months, but like it's nothing crazy.
Mm-hmm. Well, I liked in part 1 when Poe Dameron was like, if something is like, obviously he's like, if something happens to me, which means something is going to happen to him.
Yeah.
will you protect our son? Will you protect our son? And she's like, of course, he's my son. She's like, no, not you, the people.
Yeah.
I like that part there. Like he's like, I know you're gonna, but are they? Because you weren't supposed to have a kid here.
Yeah.
Like that was like, and again, that's just on Oscar Isaac for being an incredible actor there.
So how strong with the Force is Anya Taylor-Joy gonna be?
That's what I want to know.
Because she's infused already with the
Right,
water of life,
right.
like out
And
of the womb.
someone else on another podcast pointed this out. We see the womb, and the mom talks about her, and then we have that vision of Anya Taylor-Joy.
Yeah.
After that, she'll narrate like as the baby
Yeah.
for the remainder of the movie after we saw her there, which doesn't really serve any purpose to the story itself, but I think it's an interesting thing just to take note of.
Yeah.
I looked up the time span. It just said less than a year. That's all I
Yeah.
could find. So
That was
I would
fair
assume
enough.
a couple months, like two,
Yeah.
3 months or something
I mean,
like that.
this movie also did get pushed back.
I wonder how in the next one though, because obviously you're not gonna bring in Anya Taylor-Joy and not have her have a bigger role in the third one. But like
Is she gonna become the Zendaya
Messiah?
Florence Pugh figure? Like,
But like obviously if Anya Taylor-Joy is the age that they show her in the vision in the
Mhm.
next movie, Chalamet would be much older unless
right.
the water of life makes you not age the same way. But then
Mm-hmm.
again, she has it, so she wouldn't age the same way.
At the beginning of Dune 2, he was talking to her, right? And he said something like, I hope I get to meet you.
Yeah.
That could be some kind of foreshadowing.
I don't know. It's deep.
It is.
It's probably not. There's probably like answers to all these questions
No,
that we just don't know.
we're just missing, yeah, definitely what's happening. But
But I mean,
it's nice to have these conversations.
I've been listening to like podcasts and stuff too, and there's definitely a lot of questions of
Yeah,
like
so we're not alone there.
how do things work, what's gonna happen next. Like, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
obviously, there's also a huge group of people who are obsessed with the books and
Right.
kind of know where it's headed and are like accepting of the slight changes that the movies have made, and they appreciate the movies.
I think it's very interesting that we're getting these movies now where of all the like fantasy novels we've talked about, like Game of Thrones, Star Wars, Lord of the Rings, are all somewhat based on these books. Because these books came out a long time ago.
Yeah.
I think they predate Game of Thrones and Lord of the Rings. And so
Well, Lord
with that,
Lord of the Rings is real old.
yeah, I'm a bit curious. I'm gonna look that up now, but I do think it's interesting now that we're comparing this movie to those other
The first Lord of the
franchises.
Rings book came out in 1954.
75 years.
Yeah.
Right? Did I do that?
No.
Right?
54 would be 70 years.
Okay. Yeah, that's what I meant.
The first Dune book came out in 65.
Okay, yes. So,
An 11-year difference.
yeah, so I mean, we're comparing them all to this franchise, which initially was birthed like before or around the same time. Which is an interesting thing too. How it was a movie in like the 80s, right?
Yeah, David Fincher
failed
made
attempt.
the first one that wasn't very good.
Yeah, and I'm wondering too, like, had that been a success, how different all the franchises would be now if they had based them off of that.
But we're like in that time where even if that one did well, it's like time for a remake.
Yeah,
Time for a
right.
redo. I mean,
True.
we're getting a Harry Potter series soon. And like I feel like those movies,
Yeah,
even though those movies are
don't get me
20 years
started on
old,
this.
like it still feels too soon.
Yeah.
But
if I can remember when those movies were coming out, it's too soon.
Too soon.
Just a little bit.
What did you guys think is gonna happen in the third one?
Any
War.
Just like all out war?
Any major deaths you're predicting?
All right, well, Are they gonna fight on Dune, or are they gonna fight somewhere else?
It's a good question.
It looks like at the end of the movie they were getting on ships and going somewhere else.
Okay, so the worms are safe.
I think they're essentially
Yes.
freeing the Freemen and leaving Dune to like fight a holy war somewhere else.
Probably to build their army.
You know, it would be kind of sick if Andrew probably wouldn't know what I'm talking about, but Steve, the flying whales in Star Wars.
Yeah.
What if they got like flying worms instead?
That'd be pretty sweet.
I'm just saying.
Do you think worms can what's it called? Go in hyperspace?
Maybe. I mean, if they eat enough of the cinnamon, they might.
Was that Ahsoka, the whales?
Yeah, and Rebels.
And I didn't watch Rebels, but
Yeah.
Ahsoka, I remember the whales. Maybe it's the whales from Avatar.
Ooh, dude, there's James Cameron lore too.
Yeah,
it's all part of the multiverse.
And if they stick the landing with the third one, is this like a top 5 trilogy of all time?
I could make that argument.
I could see it. I also see a lot of spin-off TV shows in our future.
I really don't want those.
Oh, we're probably gonna get them.
I really hope they don't.
And like, so the director said that he wanted to do a trilogy, and if he nails the trilogy, like, even if they said keep going, like, don't. Just do your trilogy.
I know,
and
seriously.
if they do keep going and other directors, like, that's fine. But like, you cemented your legacy as like the Dune trilogy director.
How about this? If Dune 3 is a great phenomenon and it does everything right, read the books. Because those are already stories.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just, for me, like, as being a big Lord of the Rings fan, like, Return of the King is like the ultimate Lord of the Rings movie, but the first two are just as good. They're just different because the scale of the third one is a lot bigger.
Yeah.
But like, I could see the scale of this one being bigger if they're going to other planets, and if they nail it, like, it's the modern day Lord of the Rings trilogy, where it's just next year it'll win, or the year the third one comes out, it'll win all the awards for, everything, because it really didn't win a lot for the first movie.
So do you think Dune 3 is going to pick up where Dune 2 left off, or do you think there's going to be like a time jump? Because I'm wondering if it'll open with like with Timothée Chalamet and Florence Pugh getting married or something.
I think it'll open like 5 minutes after this one.
Okay.
Because that's how the second one opened. It was literally like minutes later, ultimately.
Like, I was
just
curious.
He woke up taking a nap. He was taking a nap, remember? In the sand.
That's right.
And she was like, "You missed all the fun." He's like, "I wasn't asleep."
I'm thinking Christopher Walken's character might not make it.
I think Javier Bardem's character is gonna have like a triumphant death.
Yeah.
Like, almost like a Coulson death to like bring them all together.
I think so too.
You know what I mean?
That would reunite, because Zendaya is not on speaking terms with Chalamet at the moment in the film.
Yeah,
I think in real life they're like seem to be pretty good friends.
Halfway through the third movie, she just rides in on a worm. Like there's just
for sure.
No doubt.
Yeah.
Like you're like, wait, there's no hope, and then there's just a giant.
It's gonna be like Thor in Wakanda.
Yeah, with Zendaya, and now you guys are all screwed. Yeah, it's gonna be like the big Zendaya.
Even if
moment.
they're off planet, you think she's riding in with a worm?
Yeah,
yeah.
She's got it. She's nailing it.
I'm just saying, yeah, worm space travel. It's if they did it in Star Wars, they can do it here.
They could. I think we're ready.
She's gonna have the great grandmother worm.
Ooh, my God! Wow, it's gonna have to eat a lot of cinnamon.
It's
gonna have like space poop or something that propels it through.
He said poop.
He called the shit poop. So apparently, like, there's a couple things from I heard about the books that they changed. So like, obviously at the end, Chalamet like walks in and just kills the Baron. He's like grandfather and kills him. But I guess in the books,
what's up, grandpops?
I guess in the books, Rebecca Ferguson's character kills the Baron. And by the time she kills the Baron,
so that would have been her father.
Yeah.
Okay.
By the time she kills the Baron, the baby's already born, and it's like a toddler, and it like knows everything. It's like an all-knowing.
Yes. So
freaky.
Yeah.
I heard that the toddler, when she is born, can like speak, and it's supposed to be very
Instantly.
uncomfortable.
Yeah. It only makes
So-
sense though.
They'll just have Anya Taylor-Joy like dub her voice over this baby.
Just tiny little child and Anya Taylor-Joy's voice. That was pretty. I didn't hear anything about her being in it.
No,
That was kind of cool.
Yeah.
Usually that stuff, especially we saw it like a week and a few days after it officially came out.
Yeah, we're in the
by then
second
you're
weekend, I
screwed.
think.
I mean, you're screwed for Deadpool, so I'm shocked we weren't screwed.
Yeah, Andrew, you're not making it through. Yeah, there's no way.
Thanks for the reminder.
Yeah.
When is Deadpool?
July 26th.
Oh.
Or 27th.
Oh.
Give
So
or take.
like Dune, if like something minor got spoiled, I'd probably be okay with it. But I don't know, Deadpool 3, I'm not sure I can. And there's gonna be too many things. I have to see it right away.
So,
You should
just
cancel
so our
your trip.
just so our listeners know, I'm going to be on vacation when Deadpool 3 comes out.
Where are you going? Italy?
Alaska.
Alaska.
Yeah.
On a boat?
Yep. I know. Doesn't make sense. I said that to Mom. I'm like, is it like, because she's never been either, but we were like, is it going to be cold, or like, is it actually just going to be warm? And like, that's just a stereotype about Alaska. She goes, no, it's going to be cold on the ship.
In July?
Yeah, right.
Are they in there like, I know there's parts of Alaska that are in the dark for 6 months.
Yeah, I don't think we're going there. So it's a 2-week thing. So we're flying out, and then we're spending a week like at a hotel and like doing like bus tours like on and land, and then we're going on the boat for the second week. So if we're there for the first week, I will find a movie theater.
Yeah, I mean,
I'll walk if I have to.
It's only Alaska. It's not like Ethiopia. I'm sure there's a movie theater somewhere.
No, I know, but I'm just thinking my transportation is going to be an issue because I won't be driving there.
You can call an Uber.
I'll find someone at the hotel who wants to go. And I'll take my sister with me too.
The muscle?
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Cool.
Did we crush it? So wait, who's your favorite character from the second movie?
Oh,
because the favorite characters from the first movie are dead, so you got to pick a new favorite character.
This is true.
Javier Bardem.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah, I'd say either him or I gotta think about that.
I think I gotta go with Paul on this one.
I might
his
go
like
with
rise from what he started and where he is at the end by the end. Because also like Timothée Chalamet is great. I think he's a great actor, and I like him. And like he's kind of like at his age group, he's like the big actor right now.
Yeah.
But like, if you told me he was gonna be like the Messiah and like in charge, I'd be like, I don't know. He's kind of like thin. He doesn't. He's not imposing. He doesn't have that like Chris Hemsworth like approach where he's like this imposing figure. But I think by the end you're like, I can still get it, even though he's not this big giant dude. He still like commands respect in a certain way. So I respect that. But Zendaya is just as good too by the end.
I know. I think character-wise, I probably would go Paul. Or I mean, he didn't do much, but Josh Brolin's there too.
Yeah,
I like hearing.
Brolin's always good.
I just love hearing him talk. His voice is just so recognizable.
Josh Brolin.
Thanos.
I almost like forget he's Thanos half the time.
I know.
Or like Bradley Cooper's Rocket Raccoon.
So, do we think any other actors are going to join the franchise, like big A-list actors?
Vin Diesel.
No,
I have my money
Dwayne Johnson.
John Cena.
I didn't really like Christopher Walken. Like, the Emperor could have been anybody.
Yeah.
Like, it didn't need to be Christopher Walken.
Yeah, I thought that was a very strange...
And I hope that's a setup for a bigger part in Part 3, Messiah. Maybe him and Florence Pugh do more there.
I would think they'd have to, right?
Yeah,
Because he had to have had a bigger role, because if not, they would have just killed him right there
this is true.
and just got rid of him.
This is yeah.
So, just like Anya Taylor-Joy, like, you're not going to bring her in for that and not have her be a bigger piece.
Yeah,
of
there's
the
not going to
third
be a
one.
payoff to that.
And Florence Pugh is not going to do 5 minutes in Dune Part 2 to not be in Dune Part 3 a lot more.
So the first thing that I saw Florence Pugh in, that I remember seeing her in, was Black Widow. She was great in that. And then we saw her in Oppenheimer, and she was phenomenal. And like, she is a very, very well-rounded actress.
Yeah.
Like, she's might be one of those people who I'd go see a movie because she's in it.
Yeah.
She's really attractive too, but her acting skills are incredible.
I saw her in Midsommar. It's like
Yeah.
an A24 horror movie that takes place during the day.
Interesting.
It's very good. She's really good
Okay.
in it. I think one
Nice.
of her first acting roles, like big acting role.
Yeah.
She's in some like wrestling movie too, where I guess she's supposed to be really good. Like fighting with my family, I think it's called, or something.
I don't know.
Yeah, she's really
Interesting.
good. I mean, so we lose Dave Bautista in this one. We lose Austin Butler in this one.
Ooh, we gained him too.
Who else did we lose? Did we lose anybody else? No one of like prominence.
No. Nothing.
Just-
No one comes to mind.
Just those two. There's got to be a couple actors that probably will join the
Pedro
cast.
Pascal.
Yeah, I mean, he's in everything now, right?
Right. He's gonna be Mr. Fantastic though, so I don't know about.
Yeah. But like, it's his time right now.
Mm-hmm.
He's like
It's time for
shining.
Pedro.
The year of Pedro. But-
Right.
Also, what's his name? I don't ever know how to pronounce it, but Villanueva.
Oh.
Denis Villanueva. The director of the movie said that he wants to direct another movie in between this release and
I
Dune
think I
Part
heard that
3,
too.
which
Yeah.
means we're not getting Part 3 for like 3 years,
It's too bad.
which sucks. But I mean, I guess it lines up because the first one was 2021, this one's
Right.
2024. So we're probably looking at
2027.
the blockbuster summer movie of
Ooh.
2027.
That seems. I know it'll go by like nothing, but that just seems so far right now.
So far away.
I mean, yeah, well, yeah, anything that's more than like a year away seems like it's because
Yeah.
especially when we got
I mean,
like the Infinity War and Endgame, only 1 year gap.
Yeah.
We were spoiled.
I know.
But we get an Avatar
2025
this year.
seems so far away too, but that's only like next year.
True. We get Avatar at the end of this year, don't we?
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
Check that there.
End of this year, and then the end of 2026. So yeah, Dune is like lined up to be the big summer movie of 2027.
Mm-hmm.
That would make sense to me. We'll see.
Yeah. Hope so.
Hopefully it's just as good as the first two.
All right.
But
Anyone else?
this is the year of the sand, as we already spoke about.
This is true. Yes.
We got this movie, Furiosa, with Anya Taylor-Joy and Chris Hemsworth, and then Gladiator Part 2 comes out at the end of the year, which is also very sand and dirt.
Mhm.
So last year or the year before is the year of the water, and now we get the year of the sand. So
Ooh.
we're crushing it.
Woohoo!
Yeah. All right. Are we all set?
Closing thoughts.
I think that's about it.
Did we talk about the movies yet? We
We
tried.
tried.
we did our best.
That's all that can be asked.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow, that's
yeah,
an hour
you can't
20
ask too
already?
much of us. Huh?
Hour 20 already.
I like how
No.
we went through 2 movies in an hour and 20 minutes, but we've done 2-hour episodes about nonsense.
Well, when we have those lists, I feel like the list ones.
Yeah.
I'm impressed that we got an hour 20 for those 2 movies. I was thinking like all day. I'm like, after like 15 minutes, I think we're gonna not know what to say. because like
Yeah.
they're big epic movies, but it's like hard to remember all the sequences and talk about sand in a certain way for so long.
Right. Well, we find a way.
Make it
We
through.
always do.
Should we do like an Oscars overview next time?
That's what I was thinking.
Did you guys watch or like look it up
I
at
didn't.
least?
I watched
I've not
most of
watched.
it. My mom doesn't. My mom hates listening to people give speeches.
Oh,
So,
yeah, it's the worst.
but so she likes listening to the performances though. So I watched a good chunk of it with her. I missed the first couple awards, but I made her stay up to watch I'm Just Ken. Which she was under the impression that what's her name? Billie Eilish. The song that she sang was gonna be the one that Ryan Gosling sang, but she thought he was just gonna sing it differently. So she was confused. She was like, "Why are they gonna sing that song if they already performed it?" And I was like, "No, that's not what's happening, Ma.
Yeah.
Like he's gonna perform like
Nice.
a theatrical performance." But yeah, we could do that. I don't know. I think this for our listeners is probably where we're gonna stop the Dune discussion, and then we'll probably trail on for another few minutes about nonsense. So if you came to listen to Dune, that's where this ends. If you want to hear us banter a little longer, that's what's gonna happen now. What I was just gonna say there about, I think she rightfully deserved that Oscar for the original song.
Yeah.
I don't know. She did an incredible job. The performance she gave was really good at the Oscars as well.
True that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Any surprise snubs? I know we'll probably do a short separate episode on this, but like movies that did better than you thought they would.
I mean, everything pretty much lined up, to be honest. It
Yeah.
wasn't that shocking. Only one. So I saw Poor Things, and I loved it. I thought it was like an incredible, like piece of film that you could never replicate. And like Emma Stone was like top notch. But I thought Lily Gladstone would get it for Killers of the Flower Moon because Emma had already won Best Actress.
For
And
La
like
La Land.
and like the campaign for Lily Gladstone to win like was a lot more evident than Emma Stone's, I feel like. I just thought Lily, it was between the two of them.
Yeah, for sure.
I was a little surprised.
I didn't. What was the name of the one with Emma Stone?
Poor Things.
Yeah, I hadn't seen that one, but that one like it won a good chunk of awards.
It's really good. It's the weirdest movie you'll ever watch, hands down. But it's really good. Don't watch it with your parents or your mom because the full frontal nudity is like incredible. It's just like every other scene there's like full frontal nudity. So don't do that. I saw it with my mom in a theater, so that wasn't fantastic. But like I didn't care because I was just like excited to watch a good movie, and she was like, I don't know what happened, and I get that it's, it is what it is. She didn't like it as much, but I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's on Hulu now for free. So you can watch it. Just watch it. And don't watch it loud because there's a lot of sounds that are inappropriate. And it's such a weird movie. It's so weird. Like if you see it, you'll go, "Yeah, it's the weirdest movie I've ever seen." Like,
so is it weirder than Napoleon?
Well, yeah, because Napoleon was bad. This movie's good.
Okay.
Yeah, Napoleon was bad.
Which I was surprised to see that get a lot of Oscar nominations.
Yeah, but it didn't stand a chance. Like they had to
it didn't. No,
they didn't have any movies for that. Other movies for that category.
So they said, "All right, well, what else came out?"
We'll throw Napoleon because I mean Napoleon. They were like they were in costumes. I think. Like, the outfits were good, but like that doesn't change how shitty
that's
the
the only
was.
award they kind of stood a chance at.
Yeah, but no, Poor Things is like a sensational movie. I also saw Past Lives, which was nominated, which is like a love story sort of thing. That's a different movie that was really good as well.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
I'm trying to watch like all of the Best Picture nominees. Well,
gotcha.
The ones that were nominated since we have a winner already, but I still haven't seen Zone of Interest, and I still haven't seen American Fiction. I think it was.
See, I didn't know all the nominees because they were not announced before the winner.
Yeah. Oh yeah,
Oh,
Pacino
Al
fucked
Pacino.
that up so bad.
He had no idea what he was doing
He
up
had
there.
no clue. He didn't want to be there.
No.
He was like, that was so bad. It was so bad. That was the only bad part of the night, though.
I honestly, like, it was really.
It just sucks that it's the best award of the night.
Mm-hmm.
It's screwed up constantly.
For some reason, I thought Jimmy Kimmel was going to present that award as the host.
They need to present, like, somebody competent needs to present the last award.
And I get because it's the 50th anniversary of Godfather Part 2, so I get it.
You
But,
want your biggest Hollywood star to give out the biggest award, but like pick one that's 50, not 85.
Not someone with like borderline dementia.
Yeah, like he didn't even look like he took a shower. He just like rolled out of bed and was like, "All right, like I guess I'm presenting the biggest award of the night."
I'm here for the award of Best Picture. So for that, I go to the envelope.
And it is Oppenheimer. Like there was
Oppenheimer.
there was no build up. There's no
like
lead
you
up.
saw the camera and they're all hesitant to stand up.
Yeah, it felt like the year that they read the wrong one.
I mean,
that was awful.
He didn't do that this time.
Can you imagine fucking that up on live TV?
Well, like Steve Harvey did it with someone else.
Like I would
Who did it for the Oscars?
So embarrassed. More like I would never be able, like I don't know. I can't even imagine that. Also, like as the person who claimed it and then was told, "Oh, actually it wasn't you guys," I'd be like, "Well, never making a movie again."
I quit.
And that was La La Land, back to Emma Stone there.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was.
They said it was La La Land, but it was supposed to be Moonlight.
Yeah, that's like so embarrassing.
Yeah, it's brutal. No, we're not kidding. It actually says Moonlight. Like I remember seeing it because they got all of the La La Land people on stage.
That's so sad.
Before they like figured it out. Because even Jimmy Kimmel had to run out and be like,
which makes it so much worse.
That's not right.
That honestly, that's terrible.
Oh my god. Who do you think got fired after that? The envelope people?
What do they write on that envelope?
Yeah, just write Best Picture.
That doesn't say La La Land.
Yeah,
is like crossed out. Like
brutal.
That's All right. Well,
all I ultimately cared about for the Oscars though was that Godzilla minus one won its one nomination,
and it did,
because Godzilla is however many years old. It's never been nominated for a single thing in its entire history, and it finally did, and it won. And all of the people went up on stage with miniature Godzillas.
It was awesome.
That was that was so cool. I like that a lot. I was really happy for that one.
Cool.
But,
yeah.
Overall, pretty good. And then John Cena was naked on stage.
Yeah, he was.
But you couldn't see him, so it was fine.
That was funny.
That was pretty good.
Yeah.
Should have brought out Will Smith though.
I know. He's on probation.
Are you sure?
I don't know that he's coming out anytime soon.
Oh, they should have him.
He's banned for 10
him
years.
And Chris Rock both present Best Picture.
Jesus, can you imagine trying to get them to both come back?
Well, I know Will Smith is banned for 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Which is great. I wouldn't want to go to those stupid shows.
No, I wouldn't either.
No.
So I'd be like, oh, cool.
But if the Academy wants to invite us, we won't stop you.
I was a little surprised that DiCaprio wasn't there.
He wasn't?
No, he wasn't there because his movie, his main movie was nominated for Best Picture. He was the one prominently saying that Lily Gladstone should win Best Actress, and then he wasn't there. I was a little surprised by that, but
I guess after he won for The Revenant, he just decided to stop showing up.
Which he is great in The Revenant, but he just grunts and makes noises, and he's done way better movies. He just every year that he got nominated, he just got outclassed by one better actor every year. But he finally got his due.
Nice.
Good job, guys.
Also, The Bike Riders is coming out this year.
It is.
the bike riders. Remember, we were
Oh.
unsure,
Yeah.
but Austin Butler was doing like press, and the reason why he has the so that he didn't shave his head for Dune 2, he wore like a makeup cap, and they had to
Yeah.
do all that process because he was filming the bike riders right after doing Dune 2, which comes out this summer.
Nice.
I'm looking forward to that one.
Cool.
More Elvis and Tom Hardy, Venom.
That's right.
More
Oh,
Elvis.
they gave Venom 3 a title.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
they're still making that?
What is it? Let There Be More Carnage?
No, I think it's like, I don't want to get this wrong, so let me just.
Let there be Madam Web.
Isn't it like the last something or the end something?
The Last Dance.
Really? That's terrible.
That's
My screen may be inverted. Yeah. It's not going to show up, is it? You can see Tom
you're not
Hardy
on
there.
screen. Oh, there it is. I can
See,
kind
I
of see it.
I know it's inverted, but yeah, there it is.
Yeah, no. We
Yeah.
got it.
The Michael Jordan documentary is called The Last Dance, so maybe Michael Jordan's plays Venom.
Let me
It's
check
a
the
little bit
cast.
different, though. I feel like it's a little bit different.
I don't know. Venom, Michael Jordan, they had the same careers, didn't they?
Well,
The rumor flying around, which I'm telling you all right now is a rumor, is that Tobey Maguire is going to be in it.
As Spider-Man or just Tobey Maguire?
Not sure.
that is an important question.
It is.
I've also heard rumors that there's potentially a Spider-Man 4 coming with Tobey Maguire,
I have heard that as well.
which
Sam Raimi.
we don't need.
No, we don't.
We didn't need 3. Never mind 4. 2 is the
Yeah.
best one ever made.
Right.
So let's just be done.
It's gonna be like Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but
Yeah.
Spider-Man.
Yeah, it will. That's exactly what it'll be.
The only Spider-Man I want to see is Into the Spider-Verse. So
Yeah.
that's the one I'm waiting for. The third one, whatever it's gonna be called.
So, I guess for our next episode, do we want to try to talk about the Oscars and stuff? Then
Yeah,
that should be the plan.
yeah.
Yeah.
We can just like pull up the list and like go through each one and talk about it. I guess. Although you guys haven't seen a lot of the movies, right?
No.
It's weird. Like Colby, you go to the movies like weekly.
Yeah.
But you miss like the 10 movies that are nominated for Best Picture.
Well, I mean, come on, man. I saw Madam Web. What else do I need to see?
Well, that was this year.
The Oscars are funny though, in that half the movies that get nominated for like Best Picture are like movies that barely got released in theaters, or like
Yeah.
you had to see it and it was only out for a week, or they
Yeah,
come out.
that's the problem. I don't end up seeing a lot of those types of movies.
Yeah,
Or like any type of indie movies. I don't watch indie movies.
yeah.
I just don't. I'm not interested.
I try to watch more of those if I can now, but I definitely used to not.
I can see Spider-Man 4 opening with the narration. It's me. You remember my story? It wasn't for the faint of heart. Here's another story for you.
Nope, we don't need that. Nope, no.
Sounds pretty bad.
I think we do. I think we do
And
need
he's like,
that.
oh, it's happening.
Oh. Ah.
All
All right, we ready to
I
call
think-
it?
I think we're good to wrap up.
All right.
Get out
Well,
of
thank you all
out
for
of the
listening.
sandbox here.
That's right. This episode of TUPCast, the Untitled Podcasters podcast.
Brought to you
Please
by
check
Blade
out
Runner.
brought to you by Blade Runner, McDonald's, Mark Wahlberg. I guess those are our sponsors that are not sponsors.
Maybe Mark Wahlberg will be in the third one.
Ooh, maybe. I think I found a symbiote.
Maybe he'll be a sandworm.
Oh my
I thought
god,
you meant
Mark
Spider-Man.
Wahlberg's Sandworm cameo? Dude, I'm
Oh.
so down for it.
Maybe he's the one who can fly through space
Oh my god.
with the dog Arthur.
Oh my god, dude, this
Man, let's do
Woof,
it!
is wow.
Mind blown.
They're like, hey Mark, can you just stand in front of this green screen and put these dots on your face? Oh yeah, thanks. What are my lines for the day? Oh, just these words? I think I'm a sandworm.
Did I hit it right?
That's it, Mark. That's it. You're
Bye,
done.
Mark.
Have a good day, Mark.
All right, I'm about to go get some Dunkin' Donuts.
See you later.
I was in that
Pumping.
latest movie as a sandworm.
That movie was Doomed.
Ah, see what you did there.
All right,
Oh,
bye
my.
everyone.
Bye.